Hello and welcome to IMP's AEW Adventures podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Help the network out by leaving us a 5-star review and give a donation directly through Red Circle. Become one of the amazing community by joining the Social Suplex Discord. A link is in the description. Read the Social Suplex newsletter. Shout out to Trish and Tim as always, and to every person who has contributed so far. Also follow Rich as he does his YouTube journey. Listen to the other top-notch shows here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, One Nation Radio, Keeping It Strong Style, All Things Elite, Wrestling Art with Chris Things, Trish and Sarah, Tunnel Talk, Sam Brown's AEW Match Guide, and Joshing Around. My name is Matt Maher, aka Imp, and this is your quick look back at the AEW week that was. An interesting 30 minutes this week, given I will be covering the Dynamite/Collision show from Wednesday, and then maybe a little jabber at the end about a wrestling show on a golf course. Like, it's an interesting week. It's a weird week. I'm only going to play one sound clip this week, so once we're off, we're off. But it's a really weird... I've not really got a lot to say about the golf course show, other than, well, that was an interesting setup, wasn't it? It does. Doing a wrestling show on a golf course. How does it look? Well, we've done a 1 hour special. Let's just see what it looks like, because apparently there's an America golf happening. It was certainly unique, but it's an interesting week. A big Dynamite special from Charleston, South Carolina. Did it say it like South Carolina? Is it one of those places? But anyway, it was a week full of title matches because of that as well, with a big 3-hour special, with the Tied In Golf show essentially being a Battle of the Belts type of show, and Darby Allin still doing his run of defending the title every single week. It's going to be no different next week either. I feel like for me, this is a home run of an idea. I do keep bringing up his TNT Championship run, because that almost feels like the proof of concept of could this work, and it was really enjoyed back then, so it feels like we're in for the same route here. And we got what Darby Allin would actually like him to put on the line. We're not getting a direct repeat of MJF now facing the consequences like Cameron did or anything like that. We've not got to that level yet, but we'll get to it when we get to it. But the first match of the night was the AEW Continental Championship Eliminator match, Jon Moxley versus Juice Robinson. So before I jabber on about stuff, as always, I've got a format here. Let's play the clip of the first match. Let's get into our Dynamite/Collision 3-hour special.
Perhaps is only saving grace. No, now Moxley drags him over the top, flattens him out, and Juice Robinson.
Oh, look at that leverage, man.
All that weight, he's out. Robinson goes out, Moxley with the win.
A slap-chopping heavy affair with plenty of Juice going rah or yeah in his amping. As per Mox's contract, he dripped a bit of face blood. I think Juice bit his cheek, so a bit of a forced face blood from that. As the match went on, Let's Go Moxley rippled out first before the other half of the crowd realised, wait, Juice is the goodie though, we should probably cheer for him. Juice rocked with his own stiff shots, crossbody flew, but it was never enough to keep Mox down. A forehead touching amping rising up, swung into headbutt fun times. No loose Juice set loose, and instead a sleeper as our Death Rider dad decided it was time to seize the finish. Robinson kicked out of the Gotch pile driver, but it was night-night time afterwards with the Bulldog choke. Jon Moxley wins. Jon Moxley back into his role of opening match banger kind of slot. Something about Juice that still isn't connecting for me since his return, even though I much prefer him in this crazy loose cannon kind of role. The guy would come out calling himself Rock Hard Juice Robinson, like that kind of crazy loose character. For me, he's far more entertaining in that one. When he returned trying to be a bit more serious, I did believe that he was being a bit more serious, but I also found it just a bit boring. And unfortunately, that stink hasn't worn off of him yet. So even though the character is far closer to what I find entertaining, even though this was like a competitive match with Mox, there's something about Juice at the moment which it doesn't draw me in. It doesn't draw me in. I'm not super entertained by the guy at the moment, which is weird because he's technically doing the stuff that I enjoyed previously. It's just right now I'm like, I'm kind of cool on the guy. And also, the rest of his faction got a much cooler, much more fun match to end the night on Collision as well. So yeah, so really at the moment for me, Juice, he's reached a point where his like character stuff is great. So when he runs out into matches, or if he's a presence there, I'm enjoying him. If he's the sole focus in the ring, I'll just tune out a little bit. It's just not grabbing me at the moment. Mox still great as always though. Mox is the champion, still doing really strong. I feel like I want this one to go for as long as it possibly can, just because he's giving so much identity to the championship as well. And if he's able to do that, then whoever he passes it on to, I just kind of would love for them to be able to continue doing what this title started to stand for. Like, it's really found a footing, especially in a world where there are too many titles. There's a title change this week, which I did cheer for, but also I still also recognise there's too many titles. There is no need for an AEW National Championship. There is no need. It's an avenue to give people something to do and fight over. So you don't have to come up with original drama all the time. Like, they don't want the title. It's a competition about the competition. So you need to give them multiple things to compete over. But also, I still feel like it's too many. Anyway, on to the other notes, and a little bit different this time because there are just so many of them, given that it is a 3-hour special show. And the final hour does feel like a separate hour of Collision. Like, it feels like Collision. Like, Dynamite does end and then it goes goes into an extra fun hour of Collision Wrestling. Included in that are the other notes, where you got all the backstage bits and whatever. It's also in that third hour. So this week, I've got a massive other notes bit. So we're going to get through it together, guys. All of the backstage bits, all those little side character stuff, we're going to bash through them all so we can get back to the wrestling. So before the show properly started, actually start off with the serious one. Tony Schiavone was in the ring to give Ted Turner a tribute. Painted the clear picture that wrestling on television isn't here today without the likes of him. Brought out Sting. No entrance music, because even though the crowd were chanting holy shit, this wasn't about him. Gave his thanks for what Ted Turner did for him, all the wrestlers and the fans, before professionally linking things to Darby Allin's title match and Tony Khan's running of AEW. A 10-bell salute acknowledging that this show will be in tribute. Like, you watch AEW and the respect for wrestling's past just oozes out of the show. Another really respectfully done tribute. You can feel the heart and soul of professional wrestling within the promotion when you watch this sort of thing. I feel like there is a reason AEW is so good at these tributes every single time, because it's genuine. I feel like it's a huge part of it. People wanted to genuinely show their appreciation, and Tony Schiavone's really good at putting that into words and into a style of presentation where you do connect with that, because it's not entirely easy to do. But because AEW is somewhat being honest with it, and with their wanting to have that appreciation for wrestling's past, means this entire thing comes across as genuine. They don't just like bring all the wrestlers out and just do a quick little salute to something. Like no, you get to feel why this is an important thing. So anyway, I thought it was worth just talking about, yet again, AEW paid tribute in a really kind way. Will Ospreay, we got a look in with the same sweaty folk, different sweaty hallway. Daniel Garcia played fitness trainer, Mox the motivational speaker, trying to mould Will's body and mind, all serious and very sweaty, getting to do their very tough looking exercises. During Collision, Will Ospreay got his medical update. The medicine man made it clear that whatever training he's doing, it's clearly working. A moment to just reiterate that he's not a Death Rider, nor is he ever going to become one, but they are currently helping him, and even the Doctor Man is saying that it's directly helping him. It's making him a much stronger guy. This is great. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. But the Doctor Man putting over the Death Riders, being like, no, their training regime, like, no, it really works for them. And in the main event of Collision, they're all there ringside doing push-ups, as they seem to really lean into the fact that they are like a training group. And it looked like our Jericho bit was going to be another backstage jabber with Renee, but Chris then walked us out into the ring. He's done with the 3-on-1 beatings. I'm gonna ask, no, I'm demanding you talk to me man to man right now. Ricochet then obviously out with the big lads. I still do appreciate to Jericho every single time saying, you come out and you prove to me you're a man. Will you come out one-on-one? And Ricochet's like, why would I rise to these games? Like, every single time he's absolutely refused to do that. And why would he? It makes no sense for him to play to that. Ricochet referred to himself as an American icon as he challenged Jericho to a Stadium Stampede match to very little fanfare or reaction. Don't know if it's because Stampede was so long ago, or if the Anarchy in the Arena is the expected match for Double or Nothing at this point, and it's the one that works the best in front of fans. The problem with Stadium Stampede is just because so much of it is pre-taped, is the fans are kind of just sitting there watching the television. And I know they did it before. I think the first attempt they folded the ending into being in the ring, but because the vast majority of it, even though it's really creative stuff they're coming up with, it's not in front of them, so it's not the same. And Anarchy in the Arena just worked to perfection for transitioning Stadium Stampede's idea into a live show. So it feels weird / interesting to hear that they're going back to Stadium Stampede. Like, what ideas have they got for it where it didn't work the last time they tried to do it in front of a live crowd? How is it going to work this time? Have they actually got something in mind, being like, no, we have to try this out, we reckon we can give this a go and actually make it work? Because Anarchy in the Arena felt like the update, so we're going back to see if the previous version will work. We'll see. They might have an idea. My gut reaction is they don't, but they might have an idea. They're like, there's a specific reason I really want to give this a go. We got a wee brawl after our first time getting to see Jericho actually fend off all 3 demand baddies successfully. He went for the lion salt, but that's what cost him, with Leona cutting him off. But Lashes and Benjamin made the save. So the whole point of Ricochet's speech was that I'm going to challenge you to a team fight because you've got no friends. And if you're even going to be able to find friends, and of course he bought the help of Hurt Syndicate, but Hurt Syndicate came out to help Jericho. So there's 2 of them. And at the golf show, Ricochet cost Jack Perry, so maybe that's our 4th person, so he only needs 1 more person. I think what feels the most weird is that they've had the thing with the Hurt Syndicate. It's like, you don't have friends, you paid people to beat me up knowing that they didn't like me. You don't actually have friends. And then Lashley and Shelton Benjamin come out because they generally don't like Ricochet. And then Ricochet cost Jack Perry, so Jack Perry doesn't like Ricochet. So even though they've done the angle already with Jericho doesn't have friends, you've just got people who are angry at Ricochet. And then the whole point of this one was like, no, genuinely you don't have friends. Finding friends is going to be difficult for you. But the way they're setting it up is these are all people who hate Ricochet. They're still not Jericho's friends. Ricochet's still right. He still doesn't have any friends. These are people going after Ricochet, not being Jericho's friend. It just feels like a little bit of a mixed messaging within their own story, where they've done this beat already, and then it felt like we're moving to the new beat of, no, Jericho's going to find friends. But the people who are aligning with him at the moment aren't friends. They're all more people who don't like Jericho. Still more people who don't like Ricochet. So we're still still in that phase one. Like, it's a weird one where it felt like they were telling us we're moving on to the next stage of the story, but with what's happening around it feels like, no, this is the part you were telling in the first phase. So we're still in the first phase. Because of all of the Jericho feud, he loses the first match and it just keeps on going and it never ends and it keeps on going. This feud will not stop. It will go on for months. It's the Jericho feud way. Where the Jericho Vortex, the reason when he kind of started to become a thing. This is the way his feuds would play out. They would go on too long. They would just keep on going. I was perfectly ready. I thought it was being decently well paced as like the pay-per-view thing happened, and then we move into the next phase. Like, yeah, that's great. The main event happens, the match, the triple. We move on to the next phase. Yeah, good. But we're not transitioning. We're still in the Jericho has no friends, and the only people aligning with you are people who don't like Ricochet. Then they told us we might move into the next step, but they haven't, because these are still just people who don't like Ricochet. Now, for all I know, they'll become good friends. Samoa Joe of the Ops stood backstage with Bowes and Shibata, putting the choice in Will's hand. Joe's going to extend the offer, and if it's not a handshake, it'll be a fist. What I like about this is that Will hasn't mentioned Joe or the Ops once. I've just been a bit busy, bruv, but I promise, like, sure. Just leave a message with my agent. I'll totally get back to you. Like, yeah, sure, Joe. Just not mentioning him at all. Doing his own thing. And then Samoa Joe cuts these promos, be like, if you don't join us, I'm going to punch you in the face. Will Ospreay's was like, I'm just minding my own business, bruv. Like, what's up with you? But that's what made the Stadium Stampede thing a bit more confusing, is this is very clearly setting up to be the Anarchy in the Arena match. So are we doing Stampede Anarchy in the same show, or is it not building to that? It feels like we're very clearly setting up two teams here. Swerve Strickland, he had a quick backstage bit, brought up his words from a month ago about power. More power means more fear, more control. Nothing is more dangerous than a man who wants power, and I want it all. Bandido. We then did get a bit backstage with Brody King and Bandido finally on our AEW screens again. I'll be honest, the finger guns aren't quite as cool if you out loud then go boom, boom, boom. As you do it. You do the finger, you maybe do the noise like pew or whatever, but I think Brody King at the end of it aiming at the camera and going boom, boom, boom. I don't think that punctuated your mean cool sentence as much as you were hoping it would. Pac had a terrifying little chuckle during the collision hour. He was direct with Darby about having a winning record over the wee boy. Give me a shot then, you fighting champion. Let's see how big your balls are, huh? And the match got set for the Saturday Golf Special. Don Callis in the garage with Mark Davies, Okada, Takeshita and Andrade with his new shiny IWGP Global Championship. Don choosing Okada as his man to go after the AEW Championship. Andrade ended the conversation with his, how you know? A nice extra notch in the family with Callis' decision to be so behind Okada, also now getting to Andrade. He'd already seen it getting to Fletcher, and maybe we would have had a 4-person dynamic, and that way you can do tag team matches, yay. But they've slowly bubbled Andrade there. They've not just slotted in Andrade as the Fletcher replacement or anything like that. Well, I've not kept up with how injured Fletcher is or how long he's going to be out. But it feels like they've still very slowly had the progression for Andrade's character to get to this point without it being too crazy. Andrade very clearly feels like he should be the guy go for that title. He literally just won the second biggest title in New Japan, and Don Callis is still sticking with Okada. It makes sense for me. It really does feel like the Andrade character could slowly become more annoyed again. And finally, Jack Perry read a book on the Jurassic bus before running outside and jumping about some rocks. Like, he really is the epitome of a cool character to a 12-year-old. And if you don't like that, fuck you. Oh, he's saying that to the parents and the adults. Oh, it's so cool. I call Darby Allin the wee boy or the wee fire boy, but at the moment, Jack Perry very much is just playing the character of somebody that a 12, 13-year-old would think is really cool. Like, yeah. Double Jeopardy. Back onto the wrestling. Dax Harwood versus Orange Cassidy. Stoke outdressed like Cassidy in a not bothered attempt by the world's most bothered man. FDR out with Ciampa, Trent and Rocky and the Dogs, so the conglomerates brought out their own Young Bucks, Edge and Christian friends. All the lads around ringside in a lumberjack scenario, led to Cassidy having a good old stare at his former friend Trent. Dax later took the piss with soft kicks, then couldn't take it all when Cassidy put his hands in his pockets for further nonsense. Liked how Dax's focus on the man's right wrist instead of hindering a move hindered Cassidy keeping his hands in his pockets. He tried to do it and just went, I can't put my hands in my pockets. David Finney involvement near fall ignited all the ringside folk to jabber and peacock, but Dax couldn't take advantage of the ref distraction. Then the hurty wrist indeed did factor in a tad more of a seriously, that hurt after the Superman punch. Dax tried to wrench at it, but Cassidy rolled him up for the win. After the match, everybody into the ring, just like last week. Trent and Rocky were the two in the ring to eat all the shit. And a good chuckle as Christian was amping up to hit a spear after Edge did, before just kicking Rocky in the dick. Just yes. Even though we have had this transition into Edge and Christian being these baby faces, Christian is still doing everything he can to be a piece of shit, to be an asshole. But now he just gets cheered for it. I think that was a balance they tried to do with MJF as well, with the he's our asshole stuff. But I think the way they did it in the storyline made him, I don't know, it made him feel less like an asshole, because he really generally did try to get that connection of him really wanting that friend and seeing why he would struggle to keep friends and like that. So they tried to make him too likeable. He's going to be an asshole, he's an asshole. And they got the character right back as a bad guy, they're here. But with Christian, I feel like they've actually found that balance of true, genuine asshole who you cheer for continuing to be an asshole, but he doesn't actually have any redeeming qualities, which is the best thing. The fact they've been able to get him to this point, it's like, no, he still doesn't have any of those redeeming qualities. He's still the same guy. He just happens to be siding with the goodies at this point. Speaking of bad guys the crowd love, Kazuchika Okada versus Brian Keith. Nice to see the bounty hunter man back. One of those being picking up wins in Ring of Honor, which might as well be he's undefeated in Peru. Like, it means nothing. You can say that doesn't mean anything. Like, hey, Okada's a kind champion. He let Keith get a few kicks in first before Kazu just delivered one dropkick and immediately crashed the man outside. A ringside DDT gave Bounty Brian a surprise moment to flow, but wasn't able to keep that at all. Not sure how I feel about Don Callis calling, "Now here's one for Daddy, watch this," ahead of Kazu's elbow drop. Keith kept kicking up, so Okada couldn't have total flow either, but an inverted DDT out the corner got delightfully countered and set up our Rainmaker. After the match, Okada had something to say. "I already have the international title, unlike Takeshita, but I want more. I'm coming for the AEW World title." Folk calling out Darby has been working magical wonders so far, so why not keep displaying the embarrassment of riches that is AEW's roster? Like, bloody hell, the quality of these AEW title matches are building to be crazy consistent, and next week you give us Okada, and you've already set the table for if Max wants something, and we'll get to that after the main event. Mina Shirakawa and Harley Cameron versus Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander. Harley's just hilarious. This segment. Mina was trying to amp up Harley. Obviously, just struggling for that confidence. They're in a t-shirt still, whilst Mina's all there in her ring gear ready to go and just amping a friend up. Told her partner tonight to just stop looking out there and look in here, points at her chest, and amps her up ready for the match. Rips the Aussie woman's shirt open, and then total shock as she finds out that Harley's just in her bra. I thought you'd be in your ring gear. As I swear, half of what Harley does is just to test Renee to not break. Rips it open. She's just stood there in her bra, and then just turns to the camera like, "Ah, no, I'm gonna do it," all amped up. You're like, Harley's back, the Wrath is back. Whilst Renee has to try and not laugh. It feels like it's at that point. Harley Cameron's pure existence in these backstage segments is to try and break Renee. It's just, she didn't manage it this week. I was surprised this bit didn't get her. Or maybe Renee's just that good. Just that good. Like, even that couldn't get her. But yes, for the match itself, the Wrath is back. Big old shout after her head scissors on Stat. Back from the break with a bloody hell, as Stat got to be the one to suplex Shida into an opponent, but Hikaru's feet went flush into Mina's face. It was like Excalibur welcomes her back and then bang! Right in the face. Like, oh, yeah, well, we're definitely back. Harley was both the difference maker and the fall, proving to Shida that she was worthy, but then Stat walloped her and Falcon Arrow for Shida's win. Chris not too happy about that. But yes, an enjoyable little return for Harley. Mina took some of the beatings and continuing to show, like, Statlander and Shida finding some form of common ground here, but they're clearly not a tag team that's fully together. The dynamic in the relationship isn't right. You got the warnings out there that Shida's a bit of a baddie, and it's up to Stat whether or not she's going to align with that. And the main event, the Dynamite main event, the AEW Championship, Darby Allin versus Kevin Knight. Like, bloody hell, these main event title matches aren't going any slower or softer for Darbs, are they? What a match this was. I find it absolutely crazy that with Kevin Knight when he was tried at WWE and they were like, oh, we want to put you in like the training in the NXT just to test you out with a bit. You watch him on Dynamite and it's like, what do you mean you wanted to basically hide this guy in developmental for a bit? Look at how good he is. He's already had his developmental. He's in New Japan in that system. Like, he's come through, but he was very clearly at that point where he was ready for TV. Excalibur did a great job setting the scene, just reminding us that the last time these two faced, Darby ended up in a hospital, which was back in the C2 back in November, December. Bubbled nicely before the break. Darby got a little more crazy as he seated young Kevin on the chair. We've seen this spot before, but Kevin's seen the spot before too. He didn't stay sat in the chair. Darby still got his high up bump. This time just it was Kevin Knight throwing him onto his own back. Like, bloody hell. Kevin Knight climbing onto the corner, head scissors, and Darby still gets to do his back bump onto the ground outside. But fair to say, a certain leap took all the headlines. An incredible spot executed, something special. Kevin Knight climbed up, springboard clothesline, flying at the announce desk with Darby Allin sat on it. Every camera angle looked amazing. Like, he absolutely nailed that leap. Like, Bron Breakker, eat your heart out. Like, it's a similar setup with the person sat on the announce desk and then you leap at them from the apron. But Kevin Knight and Darby Allin are two people who are crazy enough to up that into a massive leap. It's just something special. Knight absolutely nailed that springboard. It looked beautiful. And kudos to the filming as well. It wasn't just the main angle that looked incredible. It was the every single one they showed. Every angle of that leap looked great. Darby winting and pounding the mat to amp himself back up for the coffin drop after, but Knight got the knees up and we finally got our weakness. Knight held his knee going, as commentary harked on about MJF from the match last week and the damage to his leg. Right before the spot that hospitalised Darby previously, Coast to Coast Jones, as Taz put it, somewhat took away from the seriousness of the callback. They're being like, oh, this time this move hospitalised him, and Taz just like, Coast to Coast Jones over here. It's like, Taz, I'm trying to tell, is there something serious? UFO nailed too, but Darb's kicked out. Then his history of violence with Mox came into play with a snap into a guillotine choke from Darby, commentary calling it like Allin was a man possessed, coffin drop onto the back of a rope-draped man, and then a second properly hit for the win, and Sting came out to celebrate with his wee boy for our transition into the Collision Hour. Both goody champions shaking hands and holding their championships and that. And top of the hour means it's dickhead o'clock, MJF out to be all respectful, I'm sure. Max called Darby's title run a reign of terror. It's been fun, but I think it's time you just give me that title match now. Met with the same answer of the past 2 weeks, and here we go. We all know what this means. Here's a list of 3. This is how the list of 3 works. No to the scarf on the line, no to the diamond ring on the line, no to $1 million. Darby doesn't want belongings or wealth. He wants Max's vanity. I want something you were willing to fly all the way to Turkey for. It's championship versus hair, and that's what he has to sign up for. And I will say the AEW social media team were right on it. just immediately posting so many Photoshop images of MJF with bald hair. Kept the sideburns though. he kept the sideburns for the beard all the way to the top. And to absolutely sell it, MJF was like, oh wait, no, and went all quiet and silent and just walked off before giving any answer. I really like that in terms of selling the seriousness of it, because it can very much become a very silly, very jokey. To be fair, like the AEW social media post with the bald hair, they're in the silly, jokey kind of vein. But Darby's being serious, like, no, this will really hurt his vanity. This is genuinely something that MJF will not want to do. Then out strolled Kazuchika Okada to call his shot as well. I was like, oh, okay, for Darby Allin, all the cards are coming up. I do like that. They've had isn't this going to be a cool idea for a championship reign? Then you get to this point when the reality of doing that starts to hit, and I really like that. Because he's got the golf course match with Pac as well. Then you go Okada on the Wednesday. Like, there's a point where that bump card as the champion is just going to get more and more wearing, which is what happened with the TNT title run. It's the downside of being that champion who will always defend. People then start to take advantage of it, and you get bigger and bigger names turning up. As I said, last time it was that suddenly Samoa Joe turns up, but that's the end of his TNT title run. This time it feels like he's going to be so worn down for that match at Double or Nothing. But trying to prove himself, MJF has been wrestling, so he's not like out of it or anything, but we're going to have a very worn down boy by the time we get to Double or Nothing. Personally, I don't think I mind either road. I want this reign to stay short, but I don't want it long term just to seem like a blip in MJF's long run. I don't really want it to be that bad, so maybe he could go through 2 pay-per-view cycles, but then you are just like, he's just going to lose it the next time. At least with this one, there's a bit of doubt whether he will win or lose. It mostly feels like it is just going to be MJF, and he's not going to get rid of his hair and any of that stuff. But I think if you don't do it here, then the next match is just too predictable, unless you're having Darby actually just continue his reign for a longish time. But then I don't want this to be a longish reign. I want this to be the flash in the pan type of thing. But Okada's challenge to him was nice and simple. Next Wednesday, me versus you. And Darby just goes, it's on, bitch. Nicked his catchphrase, but short and sweet, cool. End off. Not everything needs to be super complicated, whatever. You've already got the MJF stuff going on. You can have Okada come out being like, match please, and Darby goes, okay. Oh, right, okay. You don't need any more complicated than that. And into the Collision Hour. AR Fox versus Speedball Mike Bailey. 2 speedy boys given their collision time to do the kicks and athletics. Fox slide outside for a Bailey top rope springboard ad break. No fear. Fox got his tope dive once we were back. The nearest of near falls after his beautiful swanton after. For me, Fox is the absolute perfect kind of lad to give a competitive enhancement match to Bailey. Always innovative and a joy to watch, but there is something about him where I struggle to invest in him past that. So he's perfect to make Bailey look like $1 million. Moonsault knees to poor Fox's back for the Canadian win. I don't know what it is. I'm not versed enough to know what is specifically that makes me struggle to connect with Fox as a on-screen character, but as a performer, value him so incredibly highly, and that's kind of why I feel like he fits his role really well. He's definitely not a jobber, definitely not that, but he still kind of fits into that role where he's more enhancing the other stars than he is a star himself, even though he's incredibly gifted. I don't know what it is that's missing, if it's literally just like a few notes of the character or what. Jamie Hayter versus Sky Blue. Renee stood ringside to exposition us, letting us know that both Windsor and Persephone are out because of the Triangle of Madness. Blue here getting her featured singles match after last week's enhancement win. Jamie Hayter set up to be the lone lass still fighting the spooky villains. I enjoyed myself the final minutes. Kicked up the pace all nice, a little stiffer with the headbutts and strikes too. Code Blue was just sat down on when Sky rolled down for it, amping into a double strike with them both down. In the end, both brawling stood on Brett's rope. Blue teased the Code Blue, Hayter more simply the Haterade lariat, so fair to say those odds were always in her favour. Haterade from on high for the win. And afterwards, Tekla and Julia were out in the crowd staring down. Unfortunately, Hayter's second lariat to Blue got no reaction, trying to seem all tough in front of the baddie champion, but it got no reaction given both production and the crowd were all looking at the champion. Like, our camera shot was just on the champion in the crowd. All the crowd were turned facing the champion. So fair to say, way. In terms of like line direction stuff, like nobody was looking at the ring. So next thing we know, that Boo's been sent down and Hayter's trying to be like all mean with the crowd on the side, but nobody saw it. So it was just almost like got no noise for it. It is a bit of a shame that it feels like, as much as I love Tekla, there isn't really the depth at that top level of the women's roster at the moment. It would have been the absolute perfect time to just bring in Athena just to give that, although technically they did do that during Mercedes' reign just to make it really feel amped up. And they've done it for Toni Storm. Like, she's a perfect patch to bring in. So actually, for the past era of these champions, bringing in Athena is just the absolute perfect thing just to give it momentum again. But with Tekla, we are kind of stuck in this 3 versus 3, Windsor, Hayter, Persephone, and it's not really going anywhere, because once this is done, I don't know what else there is. I understand why it's being dragged out. It's like, well, what's the next bit? And I kind of hope that Mercedes is coming back at Double or Nothing, or coming back for the Owen or something, because the Owen tournaments are going to be announced on Dynamite. So hopefully that gives me my Athena as well. But that top level for Tekla, it really does feel like these Owen Cups are going to have to be used to give some form of fresh air to a title reign, because she's great, but she hasn't really got that much around her. And like, the matches are fine as well, but again, there's not much for her. The women are there. It feels like the tag title scene is actually doing a really good job of generating those other names that could go for her. Willow's busy with the TBS title, so it feels like names are being built for the future, but it always feels like whoever takes the title off of her, they're going to be in a much better spot than she is in terms of people go for them as a champion. I really like Tekla as champion. Roosh versus jobber Manny Lowe. Manny Lowe, he should be Manny Go and get out of here. Good stuff, Taz. Peak witticism. There we go. Awful. Roosh this time wasted no time beating the poor lad up into the corner and charging in with the double knees, saying his catchphrase, and off we go. Feels like every single week we are really leaning into just getting to watch Roosh beat a lad up, and then off we go. I don't think I need anything more complicated than that. And the main event, Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Danny Garcia, and the Dogs, Clark Connors and David Finlay, versus the Young Bucks, Ace Austin and the Guns. A lovely party tag main event to send us off. I love how these just amp up and amp up and amp up. But really, I'm just happy to get to see those PWG styles of really fun tag team main events just on the regular now. I feel somewhat spoiled because of it. And it wasn't one that was bubbling into the high octane action either, just like right into it, right into that multi-man madness with the pedal to the floor. Like within the first minute, we're seeing an 8-man suplex, all 4 corners used for simultaneous punchings, every lad sent outside for the Bucks to jump onto. It's just like wasting no time igniting. 15 minutes or so to party, but they were going the entire time outside of the ad break. Ad break was everybody up on in their corners, and then the Death Riders beat them down, get some heat. Compared to on the air, it was just go, go, go. Like, hey, I do enjoy myself some party tag fun. Like a quickfire comedy where if one bit doesn't land, somebody misses a move, somebody messes up their timing. Like, it doesn't matter, because within the next 10 seconds, you know you're going to be getting another one. It doesn't matter if Leslie Nielsen's joke is a bit bad. He'll be telling another one in 10 seconds. Like, it's fine. Organised into their corners for the ad break to get that breather, meaning that once we were back on air, we could enjoy our hot tag hype to the Bucks. This is awesome. Once the Jacksons were flowing and high-fiving against the Dogs. Super kick party, called Super Kicks for all. Finlay completely out and took the BTE trigger with Shafir all out and happy ringside. But Wheeler breaking up that pin just ignited us into the rapid fire. Everybody into the pool as each lad got to run in and hit their shit. Mox even stood up at the commentary desk enjoying it a little bit too much, being like, great match on a Saturday. Well, it's a Saturday, but it's a Wednesday. Just got all amped up and then just started talking gibberish, essentially. Yuta found himself alone with the Bucks and Ace Austin for one final super kick. Austin with his running net breaker thing, the flow for the win. Really enjoyable main event. A constant flow of action. Full on PWG, City Party tag, where it is just that constant beat of next thing, next thing, next thing, and they are so enjoyable, and they really just amp up and build up to a chaotic flow where, yeah, you get everybody running in to hit their one big move, one after the other. Yeah, really enjoyable. It's really weird to kind of be like at the end of these shows, well, how did you feel about it as one show? It's like, but it isn't one show really, is it? It's like 1.5 shows. It's one normal Dynamite with half of a Collision tagged onto it. Like, it's always really weird when they do this. No, they never opt to just do the 1 hour Dynamite special. It's this version instead where they stick with the 2 hour plan and then go into that. And me personally, I watched these on different days. So I stopped at the Darby Allin match. I stopped after the promo stuff to do with MJF and Okada coming out, and then watched the rest of Collision on a different day. And I found that really enjoyable. I liked having my break. That was fun. I didn't need to then force myself to finish it. It's like, no, I'm going to watch this as I normally would. I'll watch Collision on a different day. But I couldn't watch it. I couldn't wait till the Sunday. I couldn't leave it because there was the golf show. There's a quick wah-wah about the golf show before we go off the air. It was a very unique feeling show. Because if you've not seen it, it's like a weird indoor golf venue, and they had the ring to like one side of it with fans very awkwardly just stood around it. It was really strange. Like a barricade set around the ring in a normal setup, but there was maybe like 1, maybe 2 rows, if that, of people just stood around the ring, and then everybody else was like further away because it's on a golf green. And they weren't allowed to step on the golf green stuff. So you got this ring with a few people who just awkwardly stood around it, and then an entire just green to the left of them, or to the right, depending on the view. Like, it's a very interesting and weird setup. On camera, it looked great. On camera, it looked amazing. Darby Allin and Pac immediately just took advantage of the situation. The fall from Darby Allin is insane. The way they shot it makes it feel so much higher than I just thought it was. I don't know what it is. Either that or the way it was prior filmed made it look not as high as it was. So when you actually watch the fall, it's like, oh shit, no, that's like an extra 5 feet. Then I realised it was. We got to see a code red on the golf green. Like, that's a sentence I get to say out loud. But it did look great on TV. I'm not sure how it felt in person. It just looked awkward. It looked like it would have been really weird to be there live for it, as you're from a distance watching people flip about on a golf green. Like, it's so strange. But, like, obviously, Darby Allin Pac a ton of fun. Crazy spot with Darby Allin's fall. And Mark Davies defeated Jack Perry in the ring in a standard wrestling match. We got those as well. It wasn't all flipping about on the golf green. No, only Pac and Darby Allin were allowed to do that. You got to be a main event person to be able to be allowed to roll about in the sand. That's not a privilege for everybody. But Jack Perry dropped the AEW National Championship to Mark Davies, and it is great to see them do something with Mark Davies. Like, there is a curse of like injury around him. If anybody becomes his permanent tag partner, it immediately falls. Like, it sucks for Jake Doyle. They were clearly going to become a tag act. Obviously sucks for Carl Fletcher because they were both something special with Okada, but at least they are continuing to do something with him. And this National Championship win feels like it has been earned. And Jack Perry tried to give it some identity as like somebody's finding their character, can have this title run and really find themselves. It feels like Jack Perry's in a much better place because of the title run. Even though the title itself doesn't feel prestigious at all, the character of Jack Perry feels better because of it. I'm not saying like somebody's going to immediately jump up the card, but he just feels a lot more stabilised. Like, I understand what his character is now. And Mark Davies could really use that just to really establish himself in a more featured role. And I'm never against giving the Don Callis family more titles, more boys. Let's make it bigger. That's what I'm all for. Make it the most numerous faction. I'm all for it. But anyway, yeah, that was the week of AEW. We are in that cycle where we are getting those notes hitting a bit more strongly towards Double or Nothing. It was announced we were going to get participant announcements for the Owen Cup, whether that's in reaction to whatever the John Cena tournament reaction thing that just sounded really weird, but I swear there was a title in Japan that also did that. It feels like a DDT thing. Being like, you could lose your title at any time if the crowd doesn't clap you enough. That feels very DDT. But my immediate reaction was they were going to announce a Club WWE thing, and then they've got enough negative press where it can't possibly be that, so they just made something up. And this John Cena thing's just like made up like within the week or so. That's my immediate read on it. But then Tony Khan immediately goes, well, we're just going to announce the brackets and people for a normal tournament. Like, you know how this is going to go. There's no confusion. I was like, okay, cool, yeah. Nice to know that things are just normal over here in AEW. And that's where I kind of got my hope of, especially for the women, to maybe see Athena and Mercedes returning into that division, see some strong names appearing in the Owen Cup as well for the men. I keep forgetting that it's not the big, vast, company-wide tournament that I picture it is. For some reason in my head, the Owen to me is like the New Japan Cup, where it's the entire roster. It's just there. It's a massive tournament and you whittle down. It's not that. It's smaller. It's more contained. It's closer to the C2 in its actual participation count. But I really like what they did last year. It felt far more important than it has done in past years. It felt strong for both the men and the women as well. So hopefully they can have another good year as well. But so far, the AEW on such a great run that I feel like it's going to be difficult to mess this up. All the pieces are there to make a great tournament. You compare anybody with anybody and it'd be a great run. And there's numerous people who are like on the precipice of maybe getting like a push up to something, so you could really use this for something. Like, give Harley Cameron a little run. She doesn't need to win it. Just give her a little run. Anyway, with that, I say thank you for listening, liking, engaging in any form, any manner. Always appreciated. Never take it for granted. I'll be back this time next week to talk about Dynamite and Collision without a weird golf show in the middle. It's strange. It is worth just like watching at least clips of it, or watching maybe a match or so of the golf one, just to get a feel of how unique the venue felt. It felt great watching it on TV, but I was getting the feeling that I was watching a really weird... Oh, I've completely forgot to say, you could hear production throughout most of it as well. It was wild to me that they didn't notice, but it was almost part of it. It was part of the charm of this really unique, weird feeling show to also have production just audibly be like, okay, going to cut to break, don't fuck it up. But for me, there's nothing greater than hearing a don't fuck it up that's not directed to you, that you weren't meant to hear. That's peak existence, that is. Anyway, I'll be back this time next week. So with that, I bid you all adieu. Ta-ra, duckies. Ta-ra.
When I found out I was going to be a parent, I immediately felt a lot of anxiety and worry. So I went on to BetterHelp to try to look for a therapist to help me with that.
My relationship with my family and with my boyfriend and with myself were suffering. I really needed help.
I was ruminating a lot. Really getting those thoughts out to a therapist and getting feedback was just life-changing.
Discover what BetterHelp Online Therapy can do for you. Visit BetterHelp.com today.